1, 2.
There was I, waiting at the church, waiting at the church, waiting at the church. When I found it left me in the lurch, you, how it did upset me.
Hello, and welcome to the third episode of Live from Muppet Land. Woo! We're in Muppet Land. We're live. Third time's a charm. This is where either the podcast will come very popular or this is where things will crash and burn. And speaking of podcast, excellent transition, we got us a crossover up in here. Please put your hands together to the wonderful host of the another wonderful Muppet fan podcast, Muppet Profiles, Kerry and Justin.
Thanks so much for having us, Tori.
Hello. Thank you.
You too. It's been a hot second, hasn't it?
It has, yeah.
We had such a fun time talking with you on our podcast. We did Cookie Monster together.
When Tori was on the show, we did Cookie Monster.
So we're so glad to be here today with you on yours.
It's so glad to have you. Just so people know, who are you guys? What do you do? What's your part of the Muppet space?
So we have our podcast, and we're a married couple, and our podcast it's monthly. We try to get it up monthly. Sometimes we might miss a month here or there, but we discuss different Muppets on our show, and every now and then we'll do like bonus episodes where we talk about Muppet films, but we do that. We have guests with us most of the time, including Tori in our Cookie Monster episode. And yeah, that's kind of what our podcast is. And we really have a good time with that. And we've just met a lot of really great Muppet fans. We've been doing this for almost 2 years now.
Almost 2 years. Yeah. We started in the fall of 2020, right?
Yeah.
And so everybody was cooped up inside. We heard the news that the Muppet Show was going to be on Disney Plus, and we're like, you know what? Let's do a podcast because we love the Muppets. Carrie and I share a big love as a couple for the Muppets, which we've shared on our podcast before. And so we were originally going to do a episode,
a rewatch
of episodes, but thankfully there's plenty of other ones out there doing that. And we decided to go another route, just around selecting separate different Muppets every month and calling in a guest to see if they want to share their favorite Muppet. And yeah, we've had a really fun time. So
it's been really great.
Yeah.
If I had a nickel for every Muppet Show rewatch podcast, I think I'd be the richest person on the planet.
Right? Yeah, there's so many, and
they're all amazing. That's the other thing.
Yeah, there's lots of them, and there's definitely I'm so glad that it's out there and people are doing it, because it's just a beautiful show, beautiful characters, beautiful everything with a great history. So
yeah,
definitely.
And I obviously I've been a guest on it, but your podcast also is just a great podcast to listen to. I've listened to it times, so
Thank you.
So before we get into what we're actually talking about today, it's time for some news. Man, I just love that stupid Sesame Street news theme. It's
the best.
It's the best. So 3 quick news stories I'd like to bring up before we get into our main topic. First off, completely accidentally, we scheduled the recording of this episode on Frank Oz's birthday.
Yay!
Happy birthday, Frank.
So, I know for a fact he is not listening to this.
Maybe one day down the line.
Maybe. But it is Frank Oz's birthday. He is 78 years old.
Wow. Has it been? Wow. That's awesome. Yeah. Happy birthday, Frank.
Happy birthday, Frank. Muppet legend. So yeah. Just happy birthday, Frank.
For sure.
Yeah. My second story I want to bring up is on May 1st of this past couple weeks, the Muppet Legos finally released.
Oh, awesome!
Yes, I've seen pictures of them on Instagram and on Twitter. They're so cool.
They're so adorable. Now I assume you guys haven't gotten in the Muppet Lego craze yet.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
So I haven't ever gotten into the Lego craze whatsoever until I was working at a retail establishment, and I saw a Lego set for Queer Eye, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome! They're really getting some good stuff. And then I think I also saw like another Lego set for something else that I really enjoyed, and I was like, all right, it's not all about superheroes and cars and you know, as great as Legos are, I just wasn't into building like superheroes and cars or machines or whatever. Like that. So I was really happy to see that. So it's really exciting to hear the Muppets.
The Muppets are very cool. Yeah, I definitely would like that. Hopefully, if we ever do get them, hopefully our cats don't try to eat the Legos. You have to be careful.
Yeah, no, I've been a fan of Lego for a while, and you know it's funny. I agree with Justin. I don't really do a lot of the superheroes or cars. I like they do a lot of really interesting stuff. Like I have the Central Perk Cafe from Friends and the Seinfeld apartments and like weird stuff like that. Obviously, I also have the 123 Sesame Street they did a couple years ago. But I also have not gotten in 20 feet of a Target since the Legos. I just haven't been able to, you know, just grab them all. But hopefully, I will soon.
I hope you can.
Yeah, I they look really nice. I think Rolf and Gonzo look phenomenal. Specifically, Kermit's looking a little, a little interesting, if you know.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, they look pretty good.
That's good to know. Yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes open in our
definitely
in your wallet.
Our wallets,
Yes, eyes and wallets. Yes.
The other thing, our final news story, really randomly, pretty much out of nowhere, in late April, I think right after the Muppet Fan Hall of Fame, they announced that the Muppets were going to be on this season of Holy Moly. Do you guys see this?
I've seen the preview on Hulu. I haven't watched.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
How is it?
I watched the first episode. I have not seen. I think they're up to episode 4 of this season by now because they aired every Tuesday.
Yeah.
There was 45 minutes of content because you know the way they do it with network TV. It's an hour-long slot of 15 minutes of commercials, and within that 45 minutes, there was maybe 5 minutes of Muppets.
Oh no!
Oh,
it's what was there was some of it was funny. Like there was a really interesting bit of like Pepe was kind of playing that like mobster character type, and that was he was kind of like in like a back alley trading industry secrets. Like it was interesting, but there was like a tired old joke about like asking ideas, and the 3 people are you know a chicken, Swedish Chef, and animal. You have no idea what any of them are saying. Like it's it was very stock. It was fine, but I only watched the season premiere.
Yeah.
But what I do know is that Matthew Gatos, who's of course the host of one of the of Commitment, which is not just a Muppet Show rewatch podcast, but they watch everything on Commitment. He's been watching every week, and I think he counted it was for both episodes 2 and 3. It took 18 minutes to even see any Muppets.
Oh, wow! That's a bit of a wait.
That is a bit of a wait, and apparently there was only about 2 minutes of Muppets per episode for 2.
Oh, that's kind of a bummer.
That's a bummer. Yeah, we'll still check it out because we'll have to check it out because it is the Muppets. But that's
of course. But I think maybe not. You know, YouTube it. Don't YouTube the good parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. So the Pepe mobster thing, was that kind of like the scene in the Muppets Letters to Santa? Do you remember that one?
I think I don't know why, but what's that movie about the Watergate scandal? Reminds me of like To All the President's Men or so. All
the presidents. Yeah.
When I say mobster, I don't mean like Godfather. Like I more mean like I can get the stuff done. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, got it.
Yeah, it was funny. Like I said, what I saw of it was funny, but there was barely any Muppets, and apparently the future episode. I really think they were just using the Muppets as a marketing tool.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it does.
Holy Moly on its own is, for those of you who don't know, it's Wipeout mixed with miniature golf.
Oh, okay. I did not know.
It's hosted by Rob Riggle and some other guy. And Steph Curry is also in it, but he's in it less than the Muppets are. And guess whose face is biggest on the poster?
Is it who is
Is
it?
it Steph Curry?
Steph
Is
Curry.
it Steph Curry?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steph Curry's face is the biggest one on the poster.
I was gonna say, is it the Muppets? I was gonna
Is
be
it Kermit?
surprised.
Nope.
It's definitely using
If
it
you
for
see the
marketing.
poster, it's like the Muppets in a circle around Steph Curry, and then at the bottom is Rob Riggle and the other guy, and a guy in a chipmunk costume, and then just a bunch of different weird miniature golf holes. Holy moly is a weird show.
It sounds weird, and you know that you'd think more Muppets would be good on a weird show.
Yeah, like, but it's just like the fact the Muppets are there anyway is just weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just the Muppets appearing randomly in ABC shows isn't something that they've really done. Though there is that totally different tangent. There is that like fake rumor that Miss Piggy might be appearing on Grey's Anatomy, but that's a whole different story.
Oh my goodness.
I'm trying to imagine what that. I mean, she was on Veterinarian's Hospital, so she's got a little practice doing medical things.
I forget who posted this, but there was like a rumor for like Grey's Anatomy is about to reach their 600th episode or something wild like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like going all out for an extravaganza. And there was an IMDb leak that had Taylor Swift in the credits.
Huh.
But it also had Miss Piggy as herself.
Yeah.
So
But was this leak on April Fool's Day? Like
no, this was like a week, like not even a week ago.
Interesting.
So I don't know if Disney is trying to randomly push the Muppets on ABC, even though their sitcom was canceled 3 years ago.
Yeah, right. Start to show up again, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Start to show up again when they're writing for Miss Piggy. I miss it. I have such a grudge with that.
That was such a show. Yeah. I hope I get to cover that someday.
Yeah.
But any other thoughts on Holy Moly before we move on?
Nothing I can think of. I will definitely check it out, and it's good to know that there's only a short amount of time. That's a bummer to know, but it's good to know that. Definitely we'll look it up on YouTube.
And if you want to watch the whole thing, and this is for my listeners, I believe it is on Hulu. I think, right, Hulu? I think that's where next.
Yeah, it's on Hulu. Yeah, I have Hulu right now as one of our services. We've been bouncing back and forth between certain ones. I have Hulu for some shows. So yeah, it's on Hulu.
Hulu.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, before we move on to our main event, it is time to ask the question I've asked every guest and will until a certain thing happens. Kerry and Justin, who plays Jim in the Jim Henson bio?
Anson Mount.
Anson Mount. Who is that?
He is on Star Trek Discovery. He plays Captain Pike, and no, sorry. Well, he was on Discovery. Now he's on Strange New Worlds. Sorry, everyone who likes Star Trek. But yeah, he's on that, and he's been in some other films, and I'm completely forgetting the names of them now. But when you look at him with a beard, I think he could pull it off.
All right. And what was his name again?
Anson Mount.
Anson.
It's Anson.
Thank you.
And Mount like mountain.
Mount. Okay. I can see it if they're going for. It depends on when the biopic takes place, because I think he's too old if they're doing younger Jim, but if they're doing towards the later end of his life, I can see that.
Yeah, he would be good for older Jim, definitely.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, we know Jim for his beard and everything like that. So I'm guessing they might pick it up with his long beard and all that stuff when he's a little bit older. It's almost weird sometimes to see him without his beard, and we look at some of the old stuff.
Yeah, Jim without a beard is uncanny. How about you, Justin? You have any ideas on who would play Jim?
I said this to Kerry the other day, but now I can't remember who I said. But I will say this I'll wait. I'll say what I think for somebody could have happened while we talk about this episode instead of making a call on this question, if that's okay.
That's all right.
All right. So yeah, I cannot answer that at this point, but I do have another theory.
Another theory. We'll get to that theory when we get to it. Speaking of, this week, it's another random episode time. Woo! Yay. For those of you who are new to the podcast, what I say when I mean a random episode is some episodes of this show will be interviews, like our very first episode. Some episodes will be other things, but some episodes will be random episodes where basically I have this giant list of practically everything the Muppets, Jim Henson, Sesame Street have ever done, and I pull 4 things from it, and my Twitter followers vote on what we're going to cover. Originally, this episode was going to be a trivia. I was going to do trivia with these guys, but then turns out that finals got pushed up to this week.
Oh my!
I literally was taking finals 2 hours ago, or like
hope it
3
went
hours
well.
ago. So,
Yeah, I hope they went well for you.
oh, thank you. And then I got stuck helping with the multicultural fair, but that's a whole life story for a different day. So this week we had 4 choices to choose from, and here are the 3 that lost. So we are not watching a random episode of the 2018 Muppet Babies reboot. Wah, wah. Nobody voted for that, and I felt so bad.
Yeah, that was a little sad.
That was a little sad because Matt Danner and Warburton and all the people who work on that show, phenomenal. We are not watching an episode of a show called Prop Culture. Are you too familiar with Prop Culture?
I am not. Are you, Kerry?
No.
So what real quick, what Prop Culture was, it was a show on Disney Plus in which this guy went around and picked like the most famous and well-beloved live-action Disney movies and basically dug into Disney's archives and talked about the props and the artistry of those movies. There were episodes on like Mary Poppins and the original Tron and all sorts of stuff. And the finale of that season just happened to be on the Muppet movies. So
Oh,
for this,
exciting to watch. Yeah. I really like that kind of stuff. I'll have to watch that.
That sounds really fascinating.
Yeah, they interview Bonnie Erickson and another designer. They talk to Brian Henson, and they talk to both Gonzo and Dave Goelz.
Oh, excellent. I love it when they talk to the characters and the puppeteer too. And I love Dave Goelz.
Who doesn't? Awesome. And then the other thing we aren't watching is actually another episode of The Muppet Show. 2 episodes of The Muppet Show were on the ballot. The one we're not watching is Roy Clark, which is actually one of, I think, in my top 5. I love the Roy Clark episode.
Yeah, it is a good episode, yeah.
But we also got a pretty good episode.
We did.
We are watching episode 223, season 2, episode 23, John Cleese.
Yeah.
Hey. How much did this one win by? It was a pretty
hefty amount. I want to say it was close to between 40 and 60. Like it was like almost half.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
especially
I think last time.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you saw how the polls were the last time I did this.
I didn't see the last polls. Was it something similar, or were they really close that time?
The last time I did it, it was an episode of Dinosaurs, an episode of Earth to Ned, an episode of the Dark Crystal series, and Muppets from Space.
Yeah.
Muppets from Space won with like 80% of the vote.
Oh wow, that's kind of a landslide there.
Yeah, I'm like, And I kind of
surprised
because it's Muppets from Space.
Yeah,
it is a good film.
But anyway, so we're watching the John Cleese episode, originally airing in the UK on October 21st, 1977, and in New York City on December 2nd, 1977. Before we talk about the episode itself, what is your relationship to John Cleese?
My relationship to him is from the Great Muppet Caper, honestly. That's where I think of him. I know he's been in Monty Python and Fawlty Towers, but I always think of him in the Great Muppet Caper, where he and his wife have, the big mansion, and they're talking about the Dubonnet Club, and Piggy's climbing up the side of the building and comes in, and and Kermit thinks that she's Lady Holiday, and that's my relationship to him.
Oh, it's so wonderful.
Yeah.
I'd say my original relationship to John Cleese would be Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and then I as I had mentioned on our podcast before, I started getting to the Muppet Show later in my later years, and I definitely, if I had watched more Muppet stuff earlier, I probably would have picked up John Cleese here before Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And also I've watched that is what it's called, right?
Yeah, Holy Grail is the one from Medieval. There's a couple.
Yeah. Okay. For some reason I felt like I had a longer title, but that's right. Okay. And then I did watch him some years ago. I went on a big British TV kick, and I picked him up on Fawlty Towers. I love that show too. He's great in that.
Yeah, it's funny because I definitely first heard of John Cleese from the Great Muppet Caper and this episode of the Muppet Show, but when I think of John Cleese, in middle school, for whatever reason, I was a huge Python fan. Not so much anymore. I've kind of some Python stuff hasn't aged.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Holy Grail, actually, I think is if you want to watch anything Python, I think that's the best bet. Most of that stuff is actually pretty good or aged pretty well from what I can remember. But like when you dip into the series and especially Life of Brian and Meaning of Life, you get some of it's still really funny, but some of it is very very of its time.
Yes. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, John Cleese. This has always been one of my favorite episodes of the Muppet Show. Have you two seen this episode? I assume you've seen this episode before.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. We have. I think we've probably seen it aside from the watching it for your show. We've probably seen it twice.
Yeah, and I watched it when I was a teenager when it was on Nickelodeon. I mean, I've been watching the Muppet Show reruns for years, so there have been multiple times in the past that I've seen this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like my relationship with the Muppet Show is that I still haven't seen every episode because I grew up with the DVDs. And DVDs only 3.
Oh, wow.
And so obviously it's all on Disney Plus now, but I haven't, I'm really bad at watching series all the way through.
Yeah.
Even with, my favorite thing of all time, which is really
I get it.
So like, the season 4 and 5 episodes, I've seen a lot of them, but I'm not really familiar with. But like specific season 1 and 2 episodes, I've seen dozens of times, and this is one of them.
Mm-hmm. This is a good one. Yeah. Well, you're in for a treat when you do see some of anything you haven't seen in seasons 4 and 5. There's some really good episodes.
Well,
in those seasons.
I have seen all of season 4. I'm about halfway through 5 right now.
Okay. So. Nice.
Good. Yeah. Getting there.
Getting there. All right. Shall we start this?
Yes.
Let's get things started. So we start with 15 seconds the curtain, and usually the guest star is like, oh, there's talking food here. They do something goofy and they smile and laugh at the camera. John Cleese is gagged and tied to a chair.
Yeah.
That's a really good cold open, and it sets the stage for how John's appearance on the show is going to go. He's not looking too happy. It's very clear that he does not want to be there. So I think it's a good foreshadowing for what is to come.
It is. I really do like that. A lot of guests feel weird in the Muppet Show, like, I'm just doing this for pay or whatever. John Cleese is the only one who looks physically uncomfortable to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it is just very funny to me that he just does not want to be there. And it is the plot of this episode, and it's just great. It's absolutely great.
Yes.
It is really great.
It's a great
I agree. Yeah.
Then we get the theme song, which I have no idea why, but they put a skip intro button on.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yes. Why would you want to do that?
Yeah, it's the Muppet Show theme song.
I agree.
The only season, I have to say, maybe I'm weird, but I don't like this. I think it's the season 4 intro where they're all like the female puppets and the male puppets are coming in at the same time from different directions. I don't like that for some reason. So maybe I might skip that, but every other season I'm good.
You're a Muppet theme song purist.
Yes, I guess I am. Yeah.
Sounds like yes.
Oh, but by the way, pardon if I cough at all. It is pollen season as heck where I live. So.
Oh, here too.
Oh yeah.
And I have water with me this time instead of the giant metal container with ice that you could hear in episode 2. So anyway, the Muppet Show theme song goes out on without a hitch, including Gonzo playing his trumpet actually perfectly.
Yeah, I was confused after that. Like, what went wrong? Like, something's supposed to go wrong. Nothing blew up. I'm like, oh, he did it right. That's weird.
That's what went wrong.
Yeah, right.
Right.
It went right.
Let's cut Gonzo some slack. A lot of things are going to go wrong for him later on in this episode.
Yes,
that is true. He got off to a good start.
Yeah, he got off to a good start, but let's just say things are a stretch if you think it's going to go better later. That was so Kermit introduces the show just like he does every week, and for some reason 2 bags of sand drop from the back from the
Yes. Oh gosh, it's great. Yeah, he's trying to read the note, and that says that they're apologizing ahead of time for the stagehands for what's about to happen. Oh gosh,
And then they
Kermit's
both
the
almost,
best to catch on surprise.
they both almost hit Kermit, and then he says one of my favorite Kermit lines. Hey, why don't you guys watch the opening number? I'm gonna lie down for a while.
Yeah.
I get that, Kermit. That was kind of a stressful situation.
Yeah. That's good.
Then we get our first musical number of the episode. So the weird thing with the Muppet Show is that they had two different jug bands at two different points in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they did. I was thinking this when I was watching this. Yes.
And so the one is the Goobalaya Jubilee Jug Band, I think is the one, but this is Lubbock Lou and his Jug Huggers.
Such a great name. Lubbock Lou and his Jug Huggers.
Muppet names are there's either like 7 Nigels or the greatest name you've ever heard in your life.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so they sing the old, I want to say it's an old country standard, Somebody Stole My Gal.
Yeah.
Thoughts on this number?
Oh, I mean, the jug bands are always great to me. I love hearing the jug bands.
Anything where Jerry Nelson gets to sing is awesome.
And Jerry Nelson singing, like Jerry Nelson, he was a part of a band for many years. I'm not sure if he was part of a band during these years. I know he's really busy, so probably not. But, so he's just like the perfect to head the band. And he often heads the band. Well, he is often as one of the head singers in any band when they do these skits, such as Dr. Teeth and stuff. So he's just really like, yeah, I think they were just like, that was just like their go-to was Jerry Nelson. Let's get him to sing.
Yeah, I think Jim played Dr. Teeth though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that he's always got like,
he's
always got he's got a lot of singing parts in bands.
It's Floyd, right? He played Floyd.
Floyd is, as much as Dr. Teeth is the namesake of the band, Floyd's the lead singer. Let's be real.
Floyd sings a lot more than Dr. Teeth does.
Yeah. So yeah, but the number's great. It's definitely awesome. I I love it.
One interesting thing about this number, it's a nice little old country number that you can actually hear again later in the Muppet Show. In season 4, episode 2, there are some prairie dogs rehearsing this number in the background.
Oh, I don't remember that. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what 402 is. What was 402? 402 is Muppet Wiki. Oh, that was Crystal Gale. That was the.
Okay, that's a good episode.
Okay.
Crystal Gale. And this song was originally written in 1922.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
Definitely an old country standard.
Definitely, yeah. I like one thing I will say also I like about this band too is I like the girl Muppet who she just reminds me of Janis Joplin.
Yeah, with the very long hippie hair. I know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Then real quick, I want to bring up the Statler and Waldorf bit where, what's wrong with you? I got a sore thumb. Why don't you get it taken care of? It keeps my mind off the show.
Yes, that was a great bit. They had some really good bits throughout the episode, for sure.
Yeah. And then we get to, the main plot of this show is John Cleese not wanting to be there. But a nice side plot is Gonzo with the long arm. And I think this is one of Gonzo's best moments in all the series, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
I think so too. I don't know if we discussed this on our Gonzo episode or not, but it's definitely one of my favorites with him.
Yeah.
Right, you did a whole episode on Gonzo.
Yeah, we did. We had my parents on the episode for that. That was fun.
Yeah, I mean, and regardless of what happens to Gonzo at the end, the stunt worked out for him. He won. I mean, he completed his stunt.
He did catch it.
Yeah, which he hardly completes his stunts. So this was definitely.
I love the build up where it's like the hand, the cannonball, the wonderful assistant, Crazy Harry.
Yes. I will need complete silence. I love when he says that too. Oh, it's good.
He catches it, and then we get another great Statler and Waldorf line. I've seen my fair share of cannonball catching acts, but this one had something different. What was that? A survivor!
Kudos to Gonzo again. He survived.
He did survive.
He did survive. Gonzo gets hurt, but he usually does. I mean, Gonzo never dies. You know?
Yeah, that's another great thing about Gonzo. He perseveres.
He does. He's the great Gonzo after all.
He's the great Gon. Yep, that better myself. Then, okay, so here's something I don't really understand with this episode. They have the kind of subplot of like people making fun of Gonzo for the long arms. And the two characters they pick are Floyd, which kind of makes sense, and Fozzie.
Yeah, we thought that was strange too.
Yeah.
It feels out of character for Fozzie. It doesn't feel out of character for Floyd, but it feels out of character for Fozzie.
Well, Fozzie, like we're going to talk a little bit about this in an episode we haven't released yet, but Fozzie, he's usually so nice and supportive. So for him to be making fun of Gonzo, it just does seem out of character. I can't think of any other episode where he has made fun of anyone. But usually the joke's on him.
Yeah. Yeah, it was out of character for him. I mean, but at least Fozzie got to get his jokes in, and they were good jokes. Yeah, I think didn't he make Statler and Waldorf laugh? I don't
know if I think they were backstage when he made his jokes, so I don't think.
Yeah, but I think they saw it from. I think they went to Statler and Waldorf to.
Well, I got the transcript. We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
And then John Cleese comes out of his dressing room. We finally see the guest. And he comes to yell at Kermit about all the pigs because John Cleese, just like any actor in Hollywood, of course, has a standard no pigs clause in his
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's funny. It's great.
It's too bad they didn't have Miss Piggy come in and be like, no pigs clause. I'll show you. Hi,
yeah, well, Piggy's in the UK spot in this episode, which I played earlier and we'll obviously talk about later. But yes. Piggy's like, this is a very pig-heavy episode, but Piggy isn't really in the episode.
No.
Yeah.
No, she's not. Yeah, that's true. Mm. Yeah, this is a great spot with him and Kermit. And do you want to share? I'll get you on to share some more, Tori, about what goes on.
Yeah. My favorite. The other part I like it so much is that like. Here's what it says. I only work with the frog, the bear, and the ugly little the disgusting little one who catches cannibal.
Poor Gonzo.
Then a monster eats the contract.
I love that part.
No, that part's great. And then the monster eats John Cleese's agent.
Oh, the great eating of everything monsters.
That's kind of how you solve things. You either blow them up or something gets eaten.
That's how you end a sketch. There's only two ways to end a sketch, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
So then we get a very quick Muppet news flash. Something about I don't. Sometimes the Muppet News flashes are funny, but I tend not to like them as much.
Yeah, I didn't really find this one as amusing. There's some other ones I've found funny. Mm-hmm. Like the funniest one, I think, I'm getting a little off topic. I'll make it quick, but was in the Muppet Family Christmas when the barometers were dropping sharply and they all fell on his head.
Yeah. That's stupid, but I love it.
Yes.
This one, the comedy I saw in it is from my side. Yes, definitely they definitely had better numbers. I'll totally agree with that. The Italian dinner out of wool is like, it goes back to like the fashion aspect that comes from Italy. Like there's like this huge fashion thing in Italy with like Napoli and stuff. They're like one of the early places for craftsmanship and well-care clothes and stuff like that.
When explaining the joke, it makes sense, but if I didn't know that going into it, it's just like.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's for me. That's where I kind of like found the comedy in it because I'm really into like fashion and stuff like that, and the Neapolitan fashion thing. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But if I was into fashion, it would have not made sense to me.
Okay. See that? I think that makes a little sense.
Yeah.
After that, we just get a cute little number of Ralph and a chicken playing on the piano. It's very short.
Yeah.
Not much happens, but I'm not complaining. I thought it was thoroughly enjoyable.
Oh, I loved it. I think there's another bit, like in another episode, where Rolf was with the chicken again, or maybe it's just the chickens by themselves. But I thought this was just adorable, and
I think it's both.
yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah,
both. Yeah,
probably.
it's really cute. And I like the ending when the chicken clucks and runs off, and the chicken has laid an egg. That was funny.
It's stupid, but it's so great. It's so great.
It is.
Normally the chicken is a great performer, but tonight she's laid an egg.
That's what Rolf says.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
And now, pigs in space.
Oh, I love these. I can never remember because they always think of really creative ways to introduce the shipmates, and I particularly liked the ones that they said on this one. I forgot to write them down. But
the acrophobic Link Hogthrob, the illustrious first mate Piggy, and the I can't even pronounce that word.
Yeah, right. That's why I think I liked it. It was definitely out. It was different.
This I think might be a bit of a. I think this is the best Pigs in Space that exists. Period.
It's up there in the top ones for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them, but I totally would say I could totally be there with you on that.
And it's all because of the absolute delight that is John Cleese as Long John Silverstein.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the goat Jerry Nelson as that parrot.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that parrot. I don't know if the parrot was in any other. If we see the parrot again at any point, but I loved that parrot. It was so funny.
I'm sure it's like in the background.
It must have been a Muppet Treasure Island.
Or in Muppet Treasure Island, or in the background of some other Muppet Show sketch before, but like it never has this big of a role again.
Yeah, we just had our Uncle Deadly episode, and something I've been thinking about is how Dudley, he wasn't very prominent in the earlier years of the Muppets, but then he suddenly came into his own. They started using him a lot more in 2011, and maybe the parrot could start making more of an appearance now.
Yeah, no, you, Justin, sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying the parrot could be a cool character by all means, like Uncle Deadly, how Uncle Deadly evolved. I agree.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I loved the dynamic between these two, how they're bickering like an old married couple.
Yes.
And how he never buys her nice things anymore, and they never go out to dinner anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And
the part when I'm sorry if I'm getting ahead, I can stop. But
no, go ahead.
Okay. When he has to get on the intercom to say that he's taking over the ship.
And they're so cheap. The intercom's an old-timey telephone.
Yes.
And then when the money falls out of his pocket, the parent starts nagging him. You were supposed to take me to dinner. We're going to dinner. You didn't have any money. It's like, oh, it's so great.
And John Cleese is just so annoyed.
Mm-hmm. He's so annoyed with that parrot.
And then he gets mad, and they both shoot holes in the ceiling.
Yes.
And for some reason, water comes.
I know, right? I'm like, why? Like, this isn't a submarine. Why is there
water? and then Link was like, "Oh, I can do one better." Just to up and like this pirate, and he ends up destroying the ship more. Why would you do that? Oh, because it's Link Heartthrob.
It's Link. That's why.
Link Hogthrob. All right, here's complete sign tangent. Is Link Hogthrob the dumbest Muppet?
He's up there.
I'd say he's pretty up top 5. Yeah.
I'd say it's either him or Beauregard. It's got to be one of those two.
Yeah.
Beauregard is up there too. Yes.
But
I have more sensitivity towards Beauregard because he's not a macho fool like Hogthrob is.
That's true.
Beauregard just wants to do his best.
So then we get another quick Statler and Waldorf bit, and then we go backstage real quick. And again, Fozzie, kind of acting out of character, is drying his laundry on Gonzo's arm.
Yes.
Which is funny. Again, it's funny. But again, it feels a little out of character, that's all.
It does, I agree.
Then we get the weirdest at the dance.
Oh yeah.
It was very strange, yes.
The theme of this at the dance was exclusively waiter, there's a fly in my soup joke.
Yes, that it was the whole time it was fly in the soup jokes.
Yeah. Oh, and then the end of it when the waiters were there. Oh, I've had a long day. It's like we're all out of flies.
That the end was the setup was kind of flat, but that punchline at the end was very well done.
Yes. It's like the food's delicacy is a fly.
Mm-hmm.
The delicacy.
Yes.
It definitely is.
Like it's a good thing. Oh, we're out of flies.
Oh boy. Oh gosh.
So then we get the UK spot, which very briefly, for those of you who don't know, a UK spot in the UK in the 70s, they had about 2 minutes or so less commercials than we did in the US. So they would film one UK exclusive segment for every episode. And this episode's was a cute little performance of the old British Song Hall classic, Waiting at the Church.
Yeah, I thought it was really cute. You know, actually, I don't think I mentioned I've seen this episode many times, but I'm not sure I saw this clip because I never, like, seeing Piggy pregnant I'm like, I don't remember this. So I don't know. This might have been the first time or one of the first times I've seen this particular spot.
Kerry, may I blow your mind real quick?
Oh, please. Yes.
In the edit section on Muppet Wiki, Nickelodeon, the UK spot, Waiting at the Church, was cut.
Oh
my, look at that. You were watching it on Nickelodeon.
Yes. Well, did they not want like an unplanned pregnancy showing on Nickelodeon?
No. I think what it was is Nickelodeon also had more commercials than the UK did. It's funny because in some episodes, Nickelodeon will keep the UK spot but cut something completely different. Like, it's really weird what they cut.
Interesting.
That is interesting. I would like to know why they chose that one. But yes, yeah, that is interesting to know. My mind is blown.
I think Waiting at the Church is it's just a nice little British sing-song, song hall number. I think it's funny. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
They did a good job of mixing in the Kermit and Piggy elements too. Like Kermit was like still refusing to be married, and he was like, oh, at the end of the song, he was like, you can take the thing out of your dress or something, like the pregnancy pillow, like that, and stop like acting like we're together. And Miss Piggy's like still want to like breathe him. Yeah, so it was good. The mixing those Kermit and Piggy dynamics into a fun song.
Definitely, yeah.
Then we get one of the sweetest. I didn't mean to do that pun. I did not mean to do that pun. But we get one of the sweetest numbers I think I've ever seen on the Muppet Show. Sweetens and Robin singing Two Lost Souls.
Yeah, I was thinking the same exact thing. It's one of the sweetest things.
It's adorable. For me, it's a little strange because I watched The Frog Prince a lot growing up. It was one of my favorite movies. And in that one, Sweetums and Robin are at odds. And Sweetums is trying to club Robin so he can eat him for breakfast. So it's cool to see them at peace, but it's a little strange for me. I keep thinking, like, I know that he's not going to, but I'm like, is he going to eat Robin? Like, it's just kind of in the back of my head. But it's so adorable. There's this big ogre and this tiny little frog, and it's so cute.
Aww. No, I love it so much. I love the little Robin climbing up the little, like, I don't know what even you would call it, the little like spikes of the chair.
Yeah.
And then sliding down Sweetums' shoulder.
And then sitting on his head at the
sitting
end.
on his head. Yeah, that's great. And it's a great way. It's a good dynamic because, Robin's the tiniest of a tiny, and Sweetums is the biggest of the biggest, or close to the biggest of the biggest. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Such a great Jerry and Richard duet, which this is such a good one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Then again with the Gonzo jokes, this one's the worst one. This one's like, what's red and woolly and 5 feet long? A glove for Gonzo. Like
that's pretty bad.
It's funny,
but it's
bad. And then we get that wonderful interaction between John Cleese and Gonzo.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Gonzo. John's trying to help him get his arms stretched or have his arms be the same length, and then get the legs. And poor Gonzo at the end, he's just in a heap with his arms and legs all stretched out.
Well, no, because the funny thing at first, Gonzo, Cleese asks Gonzo which one is he, and he says again, "I'm the ugly, disgusting one who catches."
Oh yes, yes.
And first of all, initially, Cleese tries to fix Gonzo's nose.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes.
This is a great piece. It definitely is like an attempt to the Monty Python range of comedy, like where it all just like boils up to like madness at the end. It just there's like, and everybody's like stressed out and nobody gets what they wanted in the first place. Yeah, and John Cleese is just going crazy and stuff like that.
It's pretty great.
And some people say Gonzo is still stuck on that table to this day.
Yeah, I was when that scene ended, I said to Justin, like, how did he get his arms back to normal? Like, so I'm trying to figure out what my headcanon is with that. How Gonzo, how he got his arms and legs back to the right length. But yeah. Maybe he is sitting there.
I know this is in season 2, but every episode of the Muppet Show is before this, and he's just stuck. No, it's funny because Gonzo's not in the rest of the episode. You think he would have at least been like really tall in the back of the closing remarks or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what threw me, because usually when a character goes through something like that, they'll be at the end of the episode before the credits roll, and then they'll make some sort of a comment about what happened. But that didn't happen with this.
Nope. But what happened next was we get to go to Planet Coosbane.
Yay,
I love going to Planet Coosbane.
Who doesn't love going to Planet Coosbane?
Tom DeLuise.
He looked like he was having fun.
Yes, Myrtle Adopt.
So Kermit was talking to one of I think my favorite Coosbanian creature, the Coosbanian Spooble.
Right. Very cool creature.
Oh, because like I know how they would do that nowadays. I really want to know how they were able to do that in 1970. Whenever this came out,
it was really interesting.
Yeah. Very good point.
Just a character in a liquid in a jar.
So how do they do that these days? I'm not aware of how they do it.
Well, they would CGI it. They would CGI.
Just CGI. Okay, I thought you were talking like some actual stuff. Yeah,
I think CGI. It's easier. Not that CGI is easy, but like it's more theoretical to know how they.
Yeah. No. Yes. Definitely. Really neat how they did that. and then of course. All ends in something being eaten or exploding,
or again another great line. Well, there you have it, folks. For the first time in history, a Coosbanian has been drunk on television.
Yes.
So funny.
Oh yes. Big news from Kermit the Frog.
And then Waldorf goes, "What would happen if you put the Spooble in a kennel and then turned on the heat under him?" He'd probably get steamed.
That's one of my favorite lines for them.
Every episode of this podcast is just going to be me and my guests quoting whatever we're reviewing.
Right?
Yes.
That's what true fans will do.
Yeah. And then after all of that, we get to the closing number.
Oh gosh.
So funny. This is what I always think of when I think of this episode. My mind always goes to this.
I love this closing number so much.
It's so good. It's so good. And John Cleese, he just doesn't want to be there. And I love it when they start he doesn't want to sing To Dream the Impossible Dream, and then
That's fine. Close the curtain, and then
and then he didn't want to. There was a song he was in the Mexican outfit. He was going to do the Maraca song. Was there one in between? There might have been a third one in between that, right? The opera, yes.
They were doing Ride of the Valkyries, and my favorite, and again, so many lines. It's like, you would have loved my credenza. I would have hated your lousy credenza.
Yes, with Sweetums.
With Sweetums, yes.
I would have loved Sweetums.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's always objecting to any version of a song.
He just doesn't want to sing any of them.
And then it's the Mexican. Then they do the Mexican music, and then he's just like, "Nope, I'm leaving." And
oh yeah, I love that part when Kermit comes, like they're all singing for him, and Kermit's conducting them, and he's saying, I can't remember everything he said, but he was like, I don't want to do this, and they all repeat what he's saying in song. That's what I remember the most, is him saying these things, and then they all repeat it, and he's just getting more and more mad.
Kermit, you are my host. I'm your guest. How could you do this to me? He is your guest.
And then of course at the end they're singing that, and it's to the tune of To Dream the Impossible Dream, so they wind up singing it anyway.
It's so stupid. And then I don't know if you've noticed this, but at the end, John Cleese just straight up strangles Kermit.
Yes, he's at it.
Yes. Oh gosh. And then what happens when he's starting to do that? The crowd reacts and they love it.
And John immediately is like, "Oh, people like this. Let's bow and stuff."
Yeah, then he smiles like, "Oh, people like it," and he smiles. I think it's like the first time we see him smiling genuinely.
Smiling.
It's so funny, but best part of the episode in my opinion.
Yeah.
Then that we wrap it up for another one, and John Cleese comes out with this. Was that album real or fake? I think it was.
We asked the same question. I'll have to look it up. I feel like it was fake. I think he just did it because he thought he was a star now.
Well, it's not. They didn't link to it on Muppet Wiki, so that doesn't mean it. It could, maybe it is real, but I'm guessing it's not.
Do me a quick Google search.
Yeah. Let's take a look.
Yeah, no, it's fake.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, he just thought his music career was going to take off now since the Muppets made it for him.
Yeah, they're like, oh, people like me singing. Okay, I'll have this record.
One of the first searches for John Cleese and his music is the Muppet Turgy episode about episode where in the show notes they say, "Still baffled as how to a man and his music never went platinum." So yeah, then see you next time for another Muppet Show. The wonderful end credits roll with all the Mexican pigs and the bunch of the other stuff from I think some of the Jug Huggers. No, not Jug Huggers. It was Lubbock. Which Jug band was in this episode?
Jug Huggers.
It was Lubbock and the
okay. So then one last little end tag from Statler and Waldorf. Well, see you next time, unless I get lucky and break a leg.
Yeah. They can be so vicious. But they're so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, can I share my theory too?
Oh yeah. Never heard your theory. What's your theory?
So my theory is, if John Cleese did not find success with the Monty Python thing, and he met Jim Henson, because I think they would be around the same age at this point. I think John Cleese would have been one of Jim Henson's Muppeteers. I think if he didn't find success with Monty Python, I think that was a total possibility. That was one of my theories.
At the very least, I could see him writing for the original Muppet Show.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I know sometimes when they did the Muppet Show, the amount of input into an episode of a guest. It varied on who the guest was.
Yes.
Some guests got really involved. I think the most involved was probably Harry Belafonte. And some guests basically just showed up and did whatever. But I do wonder if John Cleese, like, wrote some of this episode, because a lot of it does feel very Python-y.
It does, yes. Yeah, my favorite episode where someone had a hand in it was, I talk about this on our podcast, but the Alan Arkin episode where he wrote the Pig Shuffle song. Yeah. That's my favorite.
Felt very Alan Arkin.
Yes.
So before we give our final rating, any other thoughts on this episode?
I can't. Yeah, it's funny. It's just a hilarious episode, and I'm really glad they had him back in The Great Muppet Caper, and who knows, maybe they'll work with him again in the future. Just I think they're a great pairing, John Cleese and the Muppets.
Yeah, they mold well together, and they mesh greatly, and yeah, I'm so glad I'm so glad he got to be part of the Muppet Show when it was on.
Yeah, and my other thing is that I am almost, because of how timelines lined up, I'm kind of surprised he was the only Python member to ever be on the Muppet Show.
That is
a surprise. Now that you mention it, yeah.
Like, at the very least, I think Eric Idle would have made for a good episode.
Yes, definitely.
But any of the Python members, and actually, Terry Jones would go on to write the script to Labyrinth. So,
look at that.
Look at that. I think it was Terry Jones. It might have been Terry Gilliam. There's two Terrys in Monty Python.
Oh, yeah. Interesting, though.
And I forget which one's which. I'm so
apology. A plane just flew over our house. I don't know if you heard that, so apologies.
Oh, no, I did. No offense. I did hear some cats earlier, I think.
Cats, really? Oh,
maybe
it might have been the cats. Sorry.
Yeah. Right. No, that adds character.
Yes.
And I want to apologize again on the record for those of you who listened to the episode I was on Muppet Profiles. My mic cut out like 5 times, and I want to apologize for that once again.
It's all right. It's, those things happen.
We had an awesome episode together. It was great.
We really enjoyed having you on the show. No. Thank you for having us today.
Oh, no problem. Now, time to rate this episode.
Yes.
So, our rating is out of 5 Kermits, and I'll do the exact same bit I did last time. 0.5 Kermits is a unanimously bad Muppet project, like the brief Little Mermaid series they worked on in the 90s.
Okay.
And something that gets 5 out of 5 Kermits is something unanimously loved, like the concept of Frank Oz.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So, what would you give this episode out of 5 Kermits?
Oh, at least 4.
Yeah, I give it 4.5 Kermits.
I would also give it 4.5 Kermits.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say 4.5 too. Like I take off the little points for Fozzie being a little out of character, which is fine. It's okay for them to be out of character, but it didn't really work for me. And then not enough Piggy. But overall, I think it was a very good episode.
Yeah, I think I also take off points for Fozzie and a couple, like maybe a bit of a point for that weird at the dance. But
yeah.
Other than that, this is a really good episode of The Muppet Show. I think it's probably in my top 10 or top 15. You asked me 5 years ago, I would have said it's in the top 5, but I've seen more episodes by now. So.
Right.
I really enjoyed this episode, and I think it's good. Watch it. Watch The Muppet Show.
Yeah. Yes, watch The Muppet Show, everyone.
It's going to put a lot of sunshine in your day.
Yeah. So, before we wrap it up, Eddie, you guys have anything to plug?
We have an upcoming Fozzie episode.
Yes, upcoming Fozzie episode for Muppet Profiles. We're really excited about that. I don't think we have a lot of editing to do or anything. I think it's just a matter of listening and getting it up.
We got Sam. Hi, Sam. Sam's listening.
Yeah, hi, Sam.
Sam from Muppet Give of the Day. Sam's joining us for the Fozzie episode. And that's our next episode, and definitely check out our podcast, Muppet Profiles, and we're on Twitter at Muppet Profiles. I just started a Tumblr page, Muppet Profiles. We're on Tenor, and we're on Instagram now as well.
Yay!
So follow us on all the socials. Say hi. We love to hear from our listeners.
Yeah, listen to Muppet Profiles. It's a very good podcast. Listen to the Cookie Monster episode, obviously, but also
yes, sure. It's that you really, like I keep saying, we loved having you there. You were the first person we had on who who actually is on social media to doing Muppet content. So we really enjoyed having you on our show. It was really great.
Listen to that episode, of course, but also listen to the whole series. They have some great episodes. What was my favorite? I think my favorite of your episodes was the one you did on Sam Eagle, funny enough.
Thank you. Yeah, that was the one with my cousin. That was a really fun episode.
Yeah, but listen to their podcast. Obviously, we have 3 episodes now, so if you haven't already, go back. If you've found this podcast through Muppet Profiles, welcome. Go back and listen to my previous episodes. Also, up on my YouTube channel is obviously last January's Muppet Twitter Awards, which Justin did presented an award for.
Yes, it was great.
And also up on my YouTube channel, not live, obviously, but you can watch it now, is the Muppet Fan Hall of Fame, which Sam, friend of the show, was one of the presenters for, and we inducted a whole bunch of great people. That was a great night. But yeah, so listen to the podcast, watch that, and once again, I want to just thanks Kerry and Justin for joining me for this madness.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
And I forgot to cue my exit music.
All right, well, when you're ready.
Can we make a Statler and Waldorf comment?
I'm just gonna play more of the Muppet, the Sesame Street Newsflash theme.
That works.
That works. But see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.